In this chapter, we look at the effects of fiscal policy in the open economy, and we will have a particular focus on the multiplier effect in an open economy. We start in the goods market equilibrium of an open economy, and to have an easier illustration, we assume that initially at this goods market equilibrium, trade is balanced. Then we look at what happens if the government enacts expansionary fiscal policy. So let's have a look at our diagram for the goods market in an open economy. We have demand on the vertical axis, production income on the horizontal axis, and the equilibrium in the goods market where the demand for domestically produced goods intersects with production of domestically produced goods. Yeah? And at that point, we assume now for an easier illustration that trade is balanced. So we don't have trade surplus or trade deficit. Now the government enacts expansionary fiscal policy. So it increases government spending on consumption. That means delta G is positive and the ZZ curve shifts upwards to ZZ prime. We have a new goods market equilibrium where the ZZ prime curve intersects with the 45-degree line. And this is associated, as we see, with a multiplier effect as in the closed economy, so that incomes increase by more than the government spending initially increased. Now, however, parts of this additional income is spent on foreign goods. So imports will also increase. And if we start from a balanced trade situation, we will now reach in the new equilibrium a situation where net exports are negative and we have a trade deficit. It also illustrates that not the full increase in income is spent on goods produced at home, but there are some goods that are imported. And if you will, to some extent, a part of this fiscal stimulus is exported to foreign countries because they benefit from a part of this increase in government spending, the one that is spent on imported goods. This slide summarizes this effect again. So we have expansionary fiscal policy that generates more demand, but a part of this additional demand is spent on foreign goods. We have already seen that imports depend positively on incomes at home. So imports increase while exports do not change because we assume that foreign income stays the same. And so some of the money that the government spends on additional governmental consumption flows to the foreign economies. And on this part, there is no multiplier effect, of course, because this additional income is generated abroad and is not spent in the domestic economy for domestically produced goods. So we would surmise that the government spending multiplier is smaller in the open economy than in the closed economy. And on the next slides, we will analyze this mathematically. We start this by assuming the following functional forms. We have consumption is equal to autonomous consumption plus the marginal propensity to consume times the disposable income, and disposable income is total income minus taxes. Then we have investment. Investment is equal to autonomous investment plus the part of investment of the firms that depends on spending in the economy minus the effect of the interest rate with a coefficient D2. Imports depend on incomes at home, with IM1 being the marginal propensity to import goods when incomes rise, and X being exports depending on foreign income, with X1 being the marginal propensity to export given foreign income, but we assume that foreign income is constant. We already know the first two equations from the closed economy. What's new is the third and the fourth equation. The next step is to plug these functional forms into the equilibrium condition for the open economy, where we know that total income is equal to consumption plus investment plus government spending plus net exports, which consist of exports minus imports divided by the exchange rate. And if we plug these functional forms into this equation, we get here for consumption, the consumption function, for investment, the investment function. Government spending was assumed to be exogenous, so no functional form here. For exports, we have x1 y star, and for imports, we have IM1 times y, so domestic income. Next, we assume as a simplification that epsilon is equal to 1, so there is exchange rate parity between the home and foreign economy. And then we can separate terms that include domestic income from terms that do not include domestic income. So we have here C1 times income, D1 times income, minus IM1 times income. So these terms are collected here, and the other terms don't include domestic income. They include foreign income here, but that's not of interest to us at the moment. Then we bring the term that includes domestic income to the left-hand side and isolate y. So we have here 1. So if we bring this to the left-hand side, we get 1 minus C1 minus D1 plus IM1 times income, and this is equal to the right-hand side. And then we just divide the whole expression by the coefficient of domestic income on the left-hand side. And if we do this, we get this expression here, where we have what we had here on the right-hand side, divided by the term in squared brackets. And this term in squared brackets, as we already see, has the form of a multiplier effect. So if we compute the change of income, if we change governmental expenditures, then we see that the reaction of income to the change in governmental expenditures is exactly equal to 1 over 1 minus C1 minus D1 plus IM1, so the term in square brackets, and that is the multiplier effect in the open economy. And now what is the case is that the multiplier effect in the open economy is smaller than the multiplier effect in the closed economy. Why? Because we have this additional term plus IM here in the denominator, so that reduces the denominator and reduces the multiplier effect, therefore altogether, as compared to the situation in the closed economy. And the intuitive reason for that is exactly what I said before. If there is governmental fiscal stimulus, then a part of this income is spent on goods that are produced abroad, and on this part that flows out of the home economy, there is no additional multiplier effect anymore. So the multiplier effect in an open economy is smaller than the multiplier effect in the closed economy. We can now summarize the insights that we've learned in this chapter. Fiscal policy has different effects depending on the openness of a country. In a small open economy, the fiscal multiplier effect will be lower than in a large and a closed economy. And of course, economic policy needs to take this into consideration. So if you enact expansionary fiscal policy in a large and closed economy, you can expect a greater effect than if you do this expansionary fiscal policy in a small open economy.